Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast, episode 92. In this episode, I speak with Princess Fashan. Princess is a celebrity hair and makeup artist out here in Los Angeles, in addition to being an event creator and director and a publicist and manager. This was a great conversation this evening. Princess had so many great stories about growing up here in Los Angeles, the public relations scene, and a whole lot more, and I left this conversation inspired, and I can't wait for you to check it out. The book of the episode is going to be The Way to Love by Anthony DeMello. This is one of my favorite DeMello books. He's one of my favorite book authors. This is actually the last book he published before he passed on. Again, the book, The Way to Love, The Last Meditations by Anthony DeMello. If you want to listen to this podcast, be sure to subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to watch the podcast, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@the-Sam-Dever-Podcast. Here's my conversation with Princess. Princess Fashan, welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. You know what's crazy? When I saw you outside, I realized that was our first time meeting in person. But because of social media
Right.
and communicating, it's like, oh, I had to remind me, oh, yeah, this is our first time meeting.
Right.
I don't know. That was an interesting moment.
That's the good thing with social media is that you get to know people before even meeting them. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and we were talking before we started here, the the gift and the curse, if you will,
Right.
of social media. You know, all the effort that goes into the posting and just trying to get someone to see your stuff or your page. And I liked what you said. You know, you said you've grasped enough of it to be able to do it. Because I remember it was when I was my junior or senior year of high school, is right when Facebook started to creep into the pictures. But we still had the flip phones. You know, you only called people on the phone. There were no smartphones really.
Right.
So I did get to experience a good part of life without it. But
So you didn't see the pagers and all that.
No, yeah. I saw them. No, I didn't have the pager. I got a BlackBerry in college.
Like-
I remember. And like the Twitter, you had it, and I thought that was the coolest thing. But now
Right.
thinking back, it was so much work just to post a tweet and stuff. So
Exactly.
I don't know, but I'm really excited to have you on. I know we've talked a little bit before this, and thank you for coming on tonight.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.
So I think maybe a great place to start would maybe just be some of your background and what brought you to Los Angeles.
Some of my background is I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. My parents brought me to Los Angeles, and because they were doing music and writing songs and performing, working in the music industry. So that's what brought me to Los Angeles. And now I work as a celebrity hair and makeup artist, a publicist, and a music manager. And I create celebrity red carpet events.
You stay busy.
Yeah.
Which came first out of that group? Was it the celebrity hair and makeup?
Yes. Hmm.
And what led you into that?
My mom, she kept kind of saying that I'd be in that industry. I was kind of doing my own hair in junior high school and, wearing makeup and doing all these things. And I just kind of went on to school. Instead of going to college, I went to cosmetology school at 19 actually. And that just kind of catapulted me in that direction of just wanting to be like, maybe on set or working directly with celebrities for like the red carpet look.
Okay. And how did you get into the celebrity aspect of it?
I don't know. It happened so fast. Like, around in the 90s after I graduated, I started working with some people from Telemundo. And it just kind of like a publicist contacted me, and I started working. It just kind of landed in my lap, really. I didn't
Just snowballed.
Yeah, it just snowballed.
Okay. And you grew up in Hollywood, right?
Yes, I did.
I know we were
In
excited.
the 80s, yeah. And 70s and 80s, but yeah.
And maybe I'm just fantasizing about this, but for some reason when I think, man, living out here in the 70s and 80s had to have been awesome.
It was.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay. And was it actual Hollywood that you grew up in? or-
Yeah, Hollywood and West Hollywood.
Okay.
Yeah, like the Hollywood Hills area, and then Hollywood, near Gardner, and then West Hollywood as well.
Okay. Simple question, but what was it like?
It was just like Goonies, man, you know? It was like, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, you know?
Ah.
That's how it was.
So it's just like the movies, how they
Yeah.
portrayed it.
Actually, yeah.
It seems that way, before, because there was a lot of people here, but maybe was the traffic just as bad back then as it is
No
now?
way.
No?
No. No. Traffic it was like probably normal it was I don't really recall a lot of traffic, but definitely not like it is now. Yeah.
No social media.
No
No.
social media.
Yeah. So when you did see a star, it was like a true
Yeah.
sighting.
Yeah, and in Hollywood you see it a lot, you know, because that's where they were at. Yeah, so
And I remember you said your father was involved in the music industry.
yes, yep,
Yeah.
my dad.
Yeah. Could you talk a
hmm
little bit about that?
Yeah, he was with a group called The Undisputed Truth. They had Shaka Khan's sister, Taka Boom, as the lead singer. And they did a lot of songs that are being sampled right now for all the rap songs. A lot of his songs were sampled. He's also a co-writer of a song called Car Wash, and that's with Norman Whitfield, who's like a big named industry guy back then, you know. So they both did that song, and he's also involved with some other songs that Rolls Royce did. There was a group called Rolls Royce, and the Fifth Dimension, and some other groups like in the 70s.
Nice. What was that like when the Car Wash song came out? Did he know it was going to be that big of a
Oh
hit?
man. No, he didn't. And then I don't even remember. Like I only remember what I was told because I was probably like maybe 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't remember. I just remember being in the studio with the Commodores because my parents were working with them, and I remember being there. I was probably about 4 years old. Yeah.
Wow. And then, well, because probably he was writing so many different songs, and then this one song, Car Wash, takes off. As soon as I remember,
Exactly.
yeah. So, did it take off right away, or was it
I
like
think the
one of
movie helps it as well because I think they
Mm,
used it in a movie, the movie Car Wash. Yeah. So
okay.
yeah, I think the movie and combined with the song, it's just kind of like it's perfect.
Okay. Do you think that early on being around your father and family in the music industry, is that what gravitated you to want to work in Hollywood and maybe with celebrities?
It's funny because I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, so even though I got my license and I was doing a little hair here and there, I wasn't like full working in any industry. So recently I started working a lot in the industry within the last 4 to 5 years solid. And I think that it just happened. It's so weird because I never, out of all my siblings, I was always the one who wanted to not be in the industry or didn't think about it. I had other things that I was doing, like being a mom. So
Yeah.
I didn't really think about that. It's just kind of like I said, everything that happens for me just seemingly seems like it falls in my lap, which I would call a blessing.
Mm.
So yeah,
Almost like divine intervention in
it
a way.
definitely.
Yeah.
hmm
So okay, so you were a mom, which is awesome to do that. And then what led you to get in? What was that? Was there a specific moment where you're like, you know what,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
want to get in, I want to get in the game here.
Yeah, somebody who's a wardrobe stylist for LL Cool J, and she had me doing her hair and makeup and stuff, and her pay to me was getting me into some red carpet events. So that lasted for a while, and I said to myself, let me create a red carpet, and it just kind of like came out of nowhere. I created the red carpet, then in turn told her that I didn't need to trade that service for that any longer. She didn't like it, but that was my first time doing a celebrity red carpet event.
Wow.
And yeah, and then from there, I just been connecting with a lot of different people and just collaborating and creating my own events. And it's really went crazy. I didn't expect it to be like this.
Yeah. And so with the events, what was the moment? So you do the events, you do the hair and makeup, you manage. Did just naturally all those doors start opening
All the
up?
doors
You're
start
like, oh,
opening
there's
up.
a business right here. There's a business right here.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
probably being around all that
Big
talent.
Percy, I think, Snoop Dogg's team. Big Percy managed Snoop Dogg for over 30 years. He's an entrepreneur himself. And so I was his publicist and just kind of like business partner. Then we connected at a basketball gym with my daughter, and I didn't know who he was, but everybody in the world does. but I wasn't in the world because I was a mom, right? So
Yeah.
I was not really paying attention too much social media or any of that stuff at that time. Didn't know who he was, and he connected me in further into the entertainment industry, and that is the huge connection that I got. Yeah, huge connection.
Yeah, we always like to talk on this podcast. It's always multiple things. It's not always just one thing, but there are
Exactly.
those one or two moments.
Hmm.
So that sounds like for you, that might have been one of those
Huge
doors
moment.
that open.
Just people seeing me with him on a picture,
Yeah.
it just went crazy. It's just him telling everybody, "Hey, this is my publicist." Hey, this is my. That's how I started really getting into the publicity side of things. It's because, and that's the thing. I was doing these things already, and I didn't know it. Like I'm managing people. I'm doing these things without a label, and everybody's like, "Hey, you're my new manager." I'm like, "I am." They're like, "Yeah, look what you're doing. This, that," and they show me. I'm like, "Oh, okay." Same thing with Percy. "Oh, you're my publicist." I'm like, "I am." He's like, "Yeah, because you're already doing all the publicist work. See?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." So that kind of did it. So it's like, like everybody just telling me, "Hey, you're already doing it. Do this, do that." I'm just like, "All right." And I'm susceptible for it. So I'll absorb it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to like say, "Hey, don't tell me." I want you to tell me because I kind of want to go to the next level and everything. And you have to follow instructions for that.
No, absolutely. So do you think I'm just off the cuff. Do you think being a mom like played a natural way? Because like you said, you're already doing all these things. Like you just had that natural instinct to, hey, here's what needs to get done. We're going to do this.
That's exactly probably what it is.
Hmm.
People don't realize that's the hardest job ever. No one can just do that job. It's hard, to just stay and do that every day. Basketball, we talked about basketball.
Yeah.
I bought a car so I can drive the basketball team. I drove them because, like you said about the van,
Yeah.
they didn't have a van or a bus in Burbank. The parents were driving individual kids. So instead, I bought like something that could fit 9 people, and I started driving. And
Yeah. Yeah. For the folks listening or watching, we were talking, saying in my junior college, we had these, I don't even know what you would call them, extended vans that could fit, like you said, 9, 10 people.
Yeah.
And I remember we had a 7-hour drive one time. That was, I don't even know if I had a window seat for that.
Oh, man.
But the grind of that, the
Yes.
basketball games. And
I think that helped me, like you said,
Yeah.
the grind of everything, put it in, into something else.
So you weren't afraid of hard work.
No, I'm not afraid of hard work at all. 100%. I can work hard, super hard. Yeah. So, because you have to, right? When when you have kids and everything has to get done, right? So, yeah, I think you're right. You nailed it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because there is no putting it off to the side or I'll do this tomorrow. It's like, no, that's a human.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't put that on pause.
Right. I don't think I'm going to cook tonight. I'll just put that to the side. They'll eat tomorrow.
Yeah. It's like, I'll post on my Instagram tomorrow. It's like, well, no, these are humans. They need to be fed and put to
Right.
bed. And so, that would make sense. Like going through all the work of that. And then once you got to the entertainment industry, and I'm sure I know too, it's so much work. Like it's people that see the glitz and the glam and the photos, and like, you guys have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. And I know you especially know like how much work
Oh, yeah.
is involved in that.
Yeah.
So, but it just sounds like you weren't intimidated by that. You were just naturally doing it.
Exactly. It makes it so much easier too. It just feels like a second nature, almost like something that's supposed to happen. So it's, you wake up and it's like a drive. You feel like,
a purpose.
yeah.
Yeah. And so, okay. So the events, the managing, the celebrity and makeup, and then public relations, that's its own separate entity as well.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. That mostly includes with the events as well though too.
Okay. So those two work hand
they
in
can
hand.
work hand in hand. Correct. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite out of them all? Or is it just one of those, you do it all whenever it's
I think
called
my
for you?
favorite is the hair and makeup because it's
Yeah?
just like I'm creative and you can see the it's something that everyone can't do. Let's say that everybody went to school and they wanted to be a publicist. That'd be awesome, right? I don't think everyone can go to school and be a hair and makeup artist. And I've seen the people who went to school and didn't get their license or went to school and never did a person's hair, because it's not, it's kind of it's hard. It's not super easy to do a haircut in the end. It looks really fabulous. It's not like you just grab the scissors and just Yeah, it could be a problem.
It's hard to get in that union too, isn't it? Like I heard it's like extremely hard.
Yeah, it is. I'm not in that union.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not. But and I've been blessed to get a lot of non-union, really good paying gigs.
Sure.
So it's just like, wow, yeah. But yeah, I'm not in the union.
I think you're going to be one of the first people that appreciate what I'm about to say. So I have had the same person cutting my hair. I believe it's going on 14 years. They are in Las Vegas.
Wow.
I drive 4.5 hours for my haircut about every 6 weeks. So,
I love it.
and people are like, "Oh, you live in LA. There's so many towns." I'm sure there are. I'm sure Beverly Hills is full of them. But once you find your person, it's just
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
because a bad haircut, there's no like, oh, we'll go back tomorrow.
There's no turning. That's what I mean. There's no way you can do that. You know.
So yeah, in respect to what you're saying, not everyone. It is a true skill.
Yeah. Yep. And it's hands-on. Being a publisher, you can talk, you get people's information. Managing music artists, they're already the product. So it's you're talking, you're helping them, but they have their own product and stuff. So I think for me, my own product is the hair and makeup is my own creation.
And I just think it's so interesting how that was the first love, but it opened up so many different doors.
Exactly.
Because did you have any idea that would open up the doors it did?
No, none. No. Mm-mm.
Well, one question I did have in terms of so I was in Public Relations Society of America, I believe it. PSSR, I'm probably butchering it. It was a public relations club in college. And this is pre-social media before it was really big.
Right.
Old school PR, getting in the newspaper,
Right.
on the radio, things like that. I'm just curious to get your perspective on public relations today, especially with social media. Just what's your take of the landscape now? Is it easier? Is it harder?
Oh, it's easier, I would say, because social media makes everything easier, right? So I
Yeah.
think it's easier when people get to see exactly what you're talking about, including media outlets and things. So now they're contacting you, right? Because they see with their own eyes things that are happening. They're contacting you. A lot of old school publicists is like you're the publicist, you're contacting them. You're contacting a lot of people all the time. With the social media, people are contacting you. They're contacting me 24/7 for all kinds of stuff, So, yeah, it makes a big difference. I think it's easier.
Yeah, and it's so important too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
because even with this, I do this podcast, but I too want to go on podcasts and to help
Of course.
spread the word about this. But then it's a different. You got to be able to do both.
Mm-hmm.
Do your own thing, and I'm sure whether it's a music artist, actors, or
Yes.
it's part of. If they have a big movie coming up or something like that, or a music album coming out,
Exactly.
you got to hit the circuit.
Oh, yeah. You have to get out there. And even with you go out on some carpets and talk, on the carpet and tell people about your podcast and things like that. And yeah.
Yeah, it's really, I think, yeah, with social media, it's made it easier, and it's also made it, what's the word? People have a lot more responsibility with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because people you are your brand.
Oh, yeah.
What you're putting out there and how you were, and even now, even more especially, I'm really thinking about the written part
Oh, yeah.
of what I'm writing on posts, because I'm like, this is what people are seeing. And for people that have never seen you or this brand for the first time, what is going to be their first impression?
Right.
Have you seen a lot? Is it all going to social media now, or is the newspaper and other
I mean,
outlets still?
I think other outlets, especially when you're dealing with mainstream media
Yeah.
like ABC and things like
Sure.
that. Like I just had one of my clients that I work with, Maxie from the Mary Jane Girls. She was just interviewed by ABC at the Three Stooges 100-year anniversary. So it's just kind of like, yeah, you want to get that mainstream media, and there is still newspapers you can get, into. How many people are reading them versus looking at social media now, though? That's the thing.
Yeah. But a big name, but I have a lot to say on what you just said, by the way. First of all, I just discovered the song In My House by the Mary Jane Girls at a yoga class just the other day.
Really?
And I didn't know that Rick James wrote it.
Oh, yeah, Rick James wrote all their stuff.
Rick James is like one of the most talented music people ever. Like I just had to say that. It's so serendipitous that you brought up those because I just found out about them. Like this is so good.
Wow.
So he wrote all their stuff.
Yes. He was there. They were his proteges. So yeah.
Wow. That was one talented man right there.
Yeah, Rick James.
Yeah. And then I love the Three Stooges.
Me too. Me too. I love the Three Stooges. I was so excited to go to that one. I was like, yeah, I can't wait to get.
So what was it? It was the 100th year anniversary?
Yeah, and they had their grandkids there dressed up like them, and they were around the same age as with the Three Stooges were when they were, and they looked so much like them. It's like they were in hair and makeup, obviously, but they looked so much like them. It was like, wow. And then they were acting like them the whole time, and they didn't stop. It's not like they stayed in character the whole event.
Was it Mo, Larry, Curly? Was those
Yeah,
the three?
it was Mo, Larry, Curly. Yeah, Shemp. They didn't have Shemp.
They left him out. Okay.
Yeah, but his daughter-in-law or something like that was there. She was probably,
that makes
she was
okay.
probably about 80 or 90.
Wow. Where was that at in LA?
That was at the Hollywood Museum, the old Mac Factor building, which is a very popular building. Yeah.
There's so much awesome history here.
Oh yeah.
Stuff going on all the time. And that's what I try to remind, people talk about, oh, we're getting out of LA or, and I think the internet has opened up, like you can be other places now. You don't have to be in New York or LA as much,
I agree.
but it's still New York and LA. I had this conversation. You still can't replicate the dense amount of connected people you can get in person with here. Is that how you see it? Or,
I definitely think that's a fact. Yeah. Yeah. But you're right. It has opened it up. So can you be somewhere else some of the time? Sure. But like once you're in LA, it's hard to find a place that's similar. Even the whole vibe, everything about it, the energy, everything.
the weather.
Yes.
You know what? We're in June gloom right now, and it's like that's as worse as it gets.
Exactly.
It's like, oh man, I'm not going to see the sun till 3 today. Yeah, it's once you, from someone that's a transplant here. I've been here 6 years now. Once you get over the traffic thing and the higher cost of living in this, that, and the other, I'm like, man, I really can't foresee myself living anywhere else, especially if you want to be involved in entertainment.
Oh yeah.
It's still LA.
Yeah. That's why I never try to go anywhere at 5 o'clock. Not even 4. Like I try to work. I mean, if I have to, obviously I will, but definitely it won't be a choice.
It's a phone call or a Zoom meeting.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's people for years that do those big commutes, 2 hours one way, 2 hours back.
Oh yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
once you don't do that as much, you're like, okay, yeah, I don't really
Yeah.
want to go back.
My
to that.
husband's been lucky not to be too much in a commute. He works in Glendale, so it's
Oh,
like
well, that's not far.
it's right there. So yeah.
Yeah. And what's cool about LA, I love how it's like a bunch of mini cities all connected. Burbank's one thing, North Hollywood's one thing, Glendale's its own thing, Pasadena's its own thing, downtown's its own thing. Has it always been that way from the beginning?
Yeah.
Since you've been out here?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and we didn't come to the Valley often. And my mom went to Burbank a couple times. She wanted to go to Burbank for something, but I don't recall ever going to the Valley much or any of that.
Yeah. So it's and then the public relations, I had another question on that. How much is that now? Is that more people you manage, you're doing their public relations alongside that, or you have clients that are just public relations events and then clients that you'll just manage like their music or their art?
I have clients that I just manage. I have clients that I manage and I'm their publicist. And then I have clients that I'm just their publicist. And then I get hired to be a publicist for events that I don't create. So,
Okay. Yeah. And how do you find a lot of your clients usually? Is it just you run into them or what's that process like? I've always been curious.
yeah,
maybe,
it's
for especially like a manager type role.
for a manager, it's people that I've known already that I wasn't their manager previously. And then we had already known each other and then I became their manager. Most of the people that I'm managing, all three of the people that I'm managing, True.P and Pro the Madman and Davina. Yeah, so.
Okay.
And then the publicist thing, people refer me. A lot of people are like, oh, I want you to be my publicist, but that one is a fee, and the fee is not, and I'm very flexible when it comes to fees. So
Yeah.
unlike other people or other publicists, and I don't, if you don't have it, let's see what can we do, as far as like working with your budget. Like you might not get the whole entire publicist thing, but what is the most important thing for you, so that you can get something going, So
So if someone, like, I'm just off the cuff, for someone said, hey, we have an event coming out, are they coming to you more just help get the word out, or they come to you with like a specific plan? Like, we want to get in this newspaper, we want to get on this radio show, or
mostly not this. Some people do that. I have had that a couple times, but mostly just, hey, I need celebrity attendees. I need the red carpet to be ran. So I would be getting all the media to come, and also being on the actual carpet day of, making sure it's being, only the people who are supposed to be walking on it is on it, and that it's being moved fast and in a timely manner. So it's mostly that, getting the celebrity attendees. Like, say somebody's like, oh, I really want, Snoop Dogg to come. Could you see what you could do? So I'd have to go and see if I can talk with his publicist plus Big Percy and see what I could do.
okay, yeah, no, I didn't think of that angle. So yeah, it's just more of, especially in a place like LA, right? It's like, hey, who's
Yeah.
going to be there?
Who's going to be there is almost the biggest thing, because then say that you're my client and somebody asked me to go to an event and bring you, and I say, well, who's going to be there? And they tell me all these people that you could potentially interview. Well, then of course I'd want you to go. But if it was something where they couldn't tell me any names or anyone or anybody, then it would be kind of like, not sure, But yeah.
So I do have a question. I've heard stories of maybe back in the day, I don't know, 80s, 70s, maybe before that, where someone's publicist would call the paparazzi and say, hey, so-and-so's having dinner at blah, 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 blah in Beverly Hills, if you want to get a picture. So is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. That's definitely a real thing. Yeah.
wow. Okay. So it is like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that doesn't mean every time the paparazzi sees you, somebody called them. But yeah, you definitely can, because if it's like a Kim Kardashian and her publicist just hits up like ABC and all the big name, all the big name media and say, hey, Kim's going to be at Catch, tonight, well, then they'll be outside waiting for her and snapping all those pictures when she walks out. So it's part of the whole thing.
So is that like the same with TMZ when they're catching people at the airport and
TMZ,
stuff like that?
Yeah, that can happen naturally, or it could be, but most of the time it's naturally when you see it on TMZ, because they just look for people. Hey,
they just float around like LAX and other places.
They're looking for people to catch up with.
Because I've always wondered that, because it's interesting to watch how some of the celebrities, some of them want nothing to do with it, like get out of my face, and then some like, oh yeah, like you can just tell that they know the drill, they know the game, they know they're being recorded, like they just.
But even the one that's like, get out of my face, did they just get publicity? Yeah, they did. Because
So-
everybody's like, did you see what she said? Get out of my face. Well,
And that's a headline right there.
Exactly.
So is it true that all PR is good PR?
I think so.
To a certain degree, I
To a
think.
certain degree. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, to a certain degree. But
There's certain
definitely-
things you probably don't want to be tied to or attached with.
Exactly. Definitely it's not going to be good. We don't want to go into any names, but
Yeah.
there's some crazy stuff going on right now. And the bigger name people that are involved is just kind of shocking. But yeah.
But, over time, though, having a little controversy is not necessarily a bad thing.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's something, too, I've had to get comfortable with a little bit. Not that I'm trying to cause any controversy. But, like social media, right? Like it's very vulnerable, especially when you are your brand. Like we are our brands and our faces on our profiles, not just some avatar that says user 5678.
Right.
Where people will say anything to anyone, but to be able to hold your ground on opinions publicly on things and understand, or even putting out pieces of content like not everyone may like this, but being okay with that, so I think there's a line, right? Like as long as you don't hit that danger zone
Exactly.
with it.
Exactly. Yeah, because sometimes you can put something out that people might think that everybody might not like, and then everybody's like, "Wow, I like that." And it sometimes that'll happen, Even with clothing and certain outfits, people are like, "Wow, that's not a cool outfit," and then they get 20,000 likes on the outfit where someone else told them they didn't care for it. So it just depends, you know. For me, you just put out what you want to say, no matter who likes it or not, and then obviously in good taste. Don't just put anything out.
Yeah.
But I mean, put out what you feel on your heart, no matter what someone's thinking. I don't think you should be sitting around in the morning contemplating, what do I think other people want to hear? I don't really think that, because you want people to like you for you. And the thing is, then they start following you, and then they're seeing what you are doing, not what you want them to think of you. Just you as a genuine person.
I love that. It's interesting. I was at a panel about TikTok. I know Instagram way better, but TikTok is just kind of one of those, well, everyone's on it.
Right.
And the person leading the panel, they were very informative. They said, well, Instagram's, you're done up, highly produced, professional. TikTok's rolling out of bed, no makeup, no hair done, just talking to a camera in your bedroom. And I'm like, and I had put all like these well-produced clips on TikTok. I'm like, okay, so that's why it hasn't gone viral. But it's just interesting how these different platforms have different guidelines, if you will. But I think, to your point, what you say is so true, though. It comes down to authenticity on all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you being truthful with who you are and being you?
Yeah.
Because I think people can sniff out when something's inauthentic.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like people with a whole bunch of followers and all these fake likes with these random names on it and all that.
Yeah.
And those people only have one follower. You're just like, they have 6 million followers, right? But then you go to their post, and the people who have liked it or commented only has one follower each person.
Yeah.
Those are not real. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, engagement too. If there's no comments on it, because that seems to be bigger than ever now, is engagement.
Yeah.
You
but
can
they're paying for the comments now. So
really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you got to have a product to sell. And then if they can fake buy my stuff, but so they're paying for, well, it's interesting because even on the podcast, when I post, especially on LinkedIn of all places, when you post on LinkedIn, you use hashtags podcasting and LA podcast or whatever, you immediately start getting DMs from people that says, hey, I can give you 1,000 organic subscribers or followers. I'm like, well, if I'm paying you, those are going to be bots. Yeah. And that's not organic. And
that's not organic.
That can also get you, and especially on YouTube, get your channel flagged or banned.
Right. And on Instagram, what they do is they just block your visibility. So it's like, okay, you have these fake, so then you have to keep continuing to buy the fake ones, because you have to buy the fake likes, the fake comments, because no one's seeing you anymore. So it's a game.
So is that now? That's a good topic right there. So I think several years back, it was probably easier to get away with a lot of that, and people probably did. People saw, oh, that person has this many followers. But now, is it a lot easier to spot these things?
Yeah, definitely.
Especially, I know, the world you're in, if someone's presenting somebody to you, like, hey, this person,
able to spot that kind of stuff. I go look. I'm a researcher. I work in marketing research too. I forgot to bring that up. But
okay.
Yeah, I like research a lot. So marketing research is when you do the surveys and stuff about actual products or what consumers think. It's like consumer testing. Yeah. So it's like, picking brains of consumer. Nike, I worked with Nike a few times, Gatorade and stuff like that. We kind of have like a room set up and put everybody in there and just kind of pick their brains and make them write everything down. And do you know these brands really use that information and change their product to what the majority of those people said?
With the focus groups, right?
Oh, yeah, the focus groups. Yeah. So if the majority of people say, hey, we only want a blue Nike, well, then they do it. And if they want, so they just literally go with the consumer's thoughts. You get paid for it, but yeah.
We just opened a whole other can of worms here. So marketing's what I studied in college. And as soon as you say, I go back to my marketing research class I took. That was probably one of my favorite marketing classes.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, what's interesting now with social media, look at all the data we get to look off of.
Exactly.
I've just now dove more into YouTube analytics, which is both great and scary at the same time. Because I was on a YouTube call. Not they weren't having a call with me. I was on watching them do a lecture or whatever, and they said, yeah, our analytics are actually a little too good because a lot of people think that, oh, we're getting this many views, but then they look at their actual watch times and seeing you can actually see when people dip out. And so it's humbling to be like, oh, I thought that was doing really good. But if you can be unemotional with it and just look at the data, you can improve.
Mm-hmm.
You go, oh, okay, people over here they're hanging on to the episode on these topics. These topics, not so much. So my question with what you were doing, A, how did you get into that? And then B, how big were the groups usually of people that they were going off of?
I got into it because I just wanted, I knew there was something called research, and I told my husband basically I wanted to do a sponsored wedding, and I was like in my 20s, and I kept seeing something about it, but I didn't know the details, and I was like, hey, I need a laptop. I'm going to use it every day, and I'm going to figure out the sponsored weddings. And the thing is like getting sponsors. And the thing led me into the focus group direction for some reason. I don't know how it did. And then I started to be a respondent. So I was, going to focus groups. And then I thought, hey, wait a minute, like I do with everything else, there's something bigger to this. The bigger picture is me. I started becoming an assistant to a recruiter. And then I started recruiting, and I opened up my own company called Perceptive Research. And I send people out for mystery shops, focus groups, all those kind of things. So I just got kind of on the back end. So I always think there's something bigger on everything. Yeah.
I love your story because it just seems like just unexpectedly all these big careers just start opening up for you.
It really did. Yeah.
But also too, what I'm picking up on too with you just seem someone that knows how to seize opportunity. Because that's a whole skill within itself too.
Yeah.
Because doors can open for you, but if you don't do the work, none of it's going to matter.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where does that come from? Is that something that's always been ingrained in you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that comes kind of with the fact of hard work too. Because a door opens and you don't mind the work. So of course you're going to get in, right? Because someone who's hesitant, who's like, oh, that might be too much work for me, or I might not know. Instead of me thinking that way, I kind of think, hey, I can do this or something. And it's the power of knowing that you can do it is part of half the battle. It's just because if you don't think you can do it, then you're already half beaten yourself by just even thinking, hey, can I do this or not? I kind of think more in the terms that I can do it. So I just do stuff. Like for the first time, I'm like, oh, I did that for the first time, this, just whatever I want. I feel like everybody can do it, but it's just that you have to, tune into whatever things that you want to create. You need to tune into it and really focus, saying a lot of people just want to be handed something, but it's not that easy. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do the work.
Yes, the work.
That's a common theme we talk
Yeah.
a lot about on here, and I think especially in a place like LA, people, like again I said earlier, like people see the end result to things or the surface level, and I'm sure you've seen it way more than we have. How many people come here every year thinking like, oh, I'm going to take this town over. Like, I'm going to come be a star. And I'm laughing not to make fun of anything, but just knowing that how I to put it in perspective, I had a talk with someone. This is like on year 2 or 3. I've been out here 6 years, over 6 years. But I go to someone, yeah, I've been out here 2.5 years, going on the 3-year mark. The guy's like, huh. He's like, talk to me at 10. Because for a lot of filmmakers, actors, whoever, I mean, everyone thinks it's an overnight success when it happens.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's 10 to 15 years someone was putting in. It just
Definitely.
appears to be overnight.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, and I think too with social media, a lot of just people want that instant gratification.
Yeah.
Have you seen a lot of that in your
Oh,
world?
yeah.
Like people that maybe come to you or you see like, oh yeah,
Yeah, or they
gonna-
think that, hey, I'll get a publicist for a couple months and then I'll be fine. But how is that going to work that fast if you obviously things take time? So how would that work that fast? A lot of people don't think about that. They think it's just going to be, hey, I'll get a publicist for 2 months and then I'll be great. But it's actually maybe 2 years and you'll be great. Yeah, because you have to build up this whole you know, um, like campaign,
Mm.
for the person, and then the publicist needs to utilize all their connections, and so it's going to take some time. They're not going to call everybody they know in the first month, and then the second month you're not going to need them anymore. How's that going to work out? That's not going to, yeah.
So relationships are pivotal
Oh yeah,
for
for
what you do.
sure.
I mean, you have to have just solid.
Oh yeah.
How do you make a decision? I'm just coming up with an example, but because I'm sure I like to call it social capital. A lot of times, you can't maybe ask the same person for the same thing 10 times in a row, possibly. Like, so how do you make those decisions on, okay, I got to ask this person for this time, but maybe I can't ask them this time? Or does it work like that? Or,
It kind of does, depending on what
Yeah.
it is, unless somebody has a really good budget, you can say, "Hey, here's this amount of money for that." They're like, "Oh, here."
there you
Do you
go.
know what I mean? But it's a lot of favors involved
Yeah.
with this, like you were getting to. That's correct. You have to have a solid network of people who are really on your side, and you have to be that person too as well. You have to be on the side and be prepared to help or do something, where you might not get what you think you should be getting, but you see the bigger picture.
It's like the artistic ecosystem in a way. It's like, is a random example. Like when I help an actor with the self-tape,
Yeah.
they need someone to read for them for their audition. It's like, okay, yeah, sure.
Mhm.
If I'm auditioning for something, maybe I'll need them to read for me one day.
Right,
Type of
exactly.
thing. But if they call you 10 times in a row,
It can get overwhelming.
Yeah, right. So, but you're right. Money talks at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's another aspect of PR too. Because one time I asked somebody, they got in Times Square. I can't remember. I'm like, oh, how'd you do that? They go, oh, I paid for it. And,
They paid a PR or something, or were they?
some PR agency, and again, I don't know the inner workings of it. And it wasn't like a billboard. It was more of like showing up on the screen
Oh, so
for a few amount of seconds. And
So
they
you
got
probably paid to get. So that was probably part of the service. So
Yeah.
maybe they get on a couple carpets, then I'll also get your picture on that screen, or so they paid
articles. There
for
were
it.
probably some online
Exactly.
articles and stuff like that. So, yeah, no, that's why I was excited to have you on, because PR is a whole other game that I feel that doesn't get talked about as much. And like you brought up earlier, people think, oh, I'm just gonna get one article or one this. And
Yeah,
I'm
but-
big on this. I mean, even if one of these podcasts blow up 1 million views, okay, that's great. But now what are you going to do?
Right.
What are you going to do with that influx? I mean, they say the quickest way, aside from not having enough business to go out of business, is getting too much business you can't handle.
Yeah.
So it's like, I like what you say. Like, you really have to have consistent structure, especially if you're trying to play the long game.
Oh yeah.
One article's not going to do
No,
it.
it's not going to
you
do
know.
it. So
One red
but
carpet, one whatever.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, but people do. They want it. They think that's how it works. Some people, they'll be like, oh, I'll do this for this small amount of time. But how? That's not gonna. It's a waste of time and money and energy, because everything is long term. I think when it comes to everything, even in the industry, if you're going to continue to be an actor, well, then you need to be long term on the carpet. You need to be a part of bigger events and supporting charity things, and you have to be doing. Your publicist will be getting you out there every month doing something, and that needs to happen to be.
And that's going to be separate from what a manager does typically.
Oh yeah, managers. Yeah, it's separate.
Because that's really, and we talk with a lot of actors, a lot of them have managers or agents, but a publicist is something you really don't hear many of them.
Yeah,
have.
because of the price, probably. But
Probably because of the
yeah.
price. So is it really, in terms of the acting world, that you got to be at a certain level probably before
Oh yeah, I think that goes for almost every world.
every industry?
Yeah, you have to kind of be at a certain spot as a music artist. Yeah, it'd have to be part of your whole life budget and stuff.
So what advice would you give to possibly those actors, artists, filmmakers that aren't quite there, but they're on the cusp of getting to that level? Because they're going to have to be their own PR, right? Or their manager's going to have to take that role or something. What would be your advice to them before they can get to that level of getting a publicist?
Their managers should be getting them placements as far as like gigs and things to be in, which would help build up their budget to get a publicist. but they can also start with a smaller firm, something that's not going to cost too much. A lot of these publicists, they have a bigger firm, they have 4 or 5 publicists, they have overhead, and so they're charging, for that. So I would start with a smaller boutique style publishing company. That's what I would do. I would start there, and then as far as pushing themselves too, maybe they can do that themselves, like submit themselves to events. So if they get like flyers or emails or anything like that with any kind of email address, they would submit themselves. That's what a publicist does. They submit their clients to the events and red carpet. So you can submit yourself. And I would probably advise somebody to do that, because then it'll get your name out there to the point, because you're submitting it to other publicists, right? So your name is going to be out there.
That's a great little tip right there. We're going to have to clip that one up. It's funny. I have heard those stories of before people became quote unquote famous, they created an email with a different name.
And they did the work themselves.
Yeah. And they said, hey, I'm John, manager of blah, blah, blah. And they said it worked. At least got them in a couple doors.
When people see that you have representation, it changes everything for some reason. It can even include them paying you for something they would have never paid you for.
Just having that extra.
Yeah. Okay. Contact my rep, my manager, or my publicist. They're just like, oh, here's the money. Yeah.
But if it's just you,
they're like, come on, do it for free, bro. Yeah. Like, come on.
Okay, now going from the opposite, or we've talked about the good in PR. So do you have to do a lot of damage control, or have you had to do damage control in your experience in PR, like a client, or it's like, oh man, you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, sometimes that does happen. Yeah, but I especially before my clients go to any red carpets or interviews, I try to talk to them ahead of time about what they should and shouldn't say. Also talk with the person who wants them to come on, and confirm all questions. And, then I'm also there at the interview. Then if something is being said that shouldn't be said, then I am just going, no, cut the camera.
And I've seen in some of those big celeb interviews or big 2020 interviews, there's those moments where you'll hear someone in the background, can't talk about that.
Yeah. And the person's doing this. Because they don't want to do it anyway.
Or legal. Sometimes there's a lawyer there or something.
Yeah. But you're right. It's the publicist. Well, my publicist said I can't say that, or my people always, you're the fall guy, so they can blame it on you. Oh, it's my publicist. They don't want me to talk about that, even though they're the ones who don't want to talk about it.
Is there ever issues between publicists and managers? Like maybe a manager wants to go one direction and a publicist is like, no, you really shouldn't.
I haven't had any.
No.
Mm-mm. But I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
I couldn't say there isn't. I'm sure there is, but I haven't. Yeah. Managers normally don't have access to certain things that publicists do, so they can work together as a team to make things bigger, which in turn will get the manager more money, because the manager is not getting paid up front, right? So they wouldn't want their clients to be seen as much as they possibly can to, get to the paid position. Yeah.
So what should a manager's main role be? And whether it's a music artist, maybe we'll just use music artists for an example. What should their job duties be? And that should it be it. That's what they should focus on.
Well, because I'm a publicist, I do all the different
right.
stuff. But
besides you that does everything.
If it was just a manager,
yeah.
I think that they should be managing your daily affairs and your so if you have any events coming up, they manage that. They're managing your calendar. They're reminding you of certain things. They're getting you gigs. So they're going to be getting you, like, say if you're a music artist, like you said, they'll be getting you placements like on concerts and things like that, because that's where they're going to get their percentage and their money from. Because they'll get maybe between 10 and 20% of everything they get. So there's mostly placement involved, getting you placed, also managing the placements, managing your daily, hey, get up, you got to work out, and you'll,
you got to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess people that really do it, they have an assistant, they got a manager.
Oh, yeah.
So here in Hollywood.
And so the manager is talking to the assistant, which then in turn the assistant is going to relay everything to the client. So the managers, if you have an assistant, a publicist, and a rep, and all these people, they're all just talking amongst each other, and then they come to you with the ending result.
So there's people, I mean, we're talking, take the Tom Cruises or the whoever. I mean, what's a person like? How big is their team? They have to have just an enormous team of people doing everything.
Probably a couple assistants or 2 or 3 assistants. And then they probably have a manager, and then they have a road manager. So like if you're thinking about like Onyx, because I work with them, they have a road manager and they have a manager. So that's 2 managers. And then they have some assistants, so the assistants, and then they have me as publicist, and then they have like a couple reps, and then I got them because I do a lot in sponsorships, so I do get brand placements and brand sponsorships. So I got some brands to sponsor Onyx on their tour, so they're going to Germany, and so they're going to be wearing the clothes of the sponsored brand. So yeah,
legendary hip hop group.
Yes,
yeah. When you told me you worked with them, like you work. The Onyx you work with?
Yeah.
How did you get connected with them?
My artist, True.P.
Okay.
He's an amazing producer. He produced them and other people. He did one song with them, helped write and produce their song, some engineering stuff. And he introduced me to them. He was like, oh, they want to meet you because they said to him, which was so like, I was at home, was in shock. They said, we need to meet your publicist because we want to do what you're doing. You're everywhere. And Onyx said that to True. And when he told me that, I was like, what? They want to meet me? It was shocking to me. But I met them and been working with them ever since. And, it just it was incredible to even know that they would want to work with me. And because they've been in this industry for a long time.
Legends.
And they're performing everywhere. And if you look at their Instagram, they have packed venues. That's packed.
Awesome.
So they're doing great right now. And right now, they're back right now, but they're going to be going to Germany and a couple other places overseas.
How do you have time to do all this?
So their manager, their road manager, that's his thing, right? Yeah. So he's making sure everything that's taking place with them there. What I did for them is I got them placements and brands and
sponsorships.
Yeah, sponsorships. And so he's on the manager side. So he's managing that. So it kind of works out, but they're big legends. They can have all these reps and all these things. It's not a lot of work. They just want it done right. So they make sure they have enough people to handle it. And then so there's no burden on one person or anything.
Well, and they've been in the game for so long. They know the value of what someone like you brings to the table.
They understand.
And like you said, they want it done right.
They want it done right. Yep, just like Maxie from the Mary Jane Girls. Yeah, she's really sweet. I love her.
Is she out here in LA?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any dream clients that you'd want to work with one day? You don't even have to name names, but
no, I don't. I mean, I don't. I just kind of I like working with people that are nice and calm and stuff. I'm a Cancer, so I'm very sensitive. No, I am kind of sensitive, but I'm always as I work with people, I don't work with people who are too like maybe feeling too like they're a big celebrity vibe. Like I do work with celebrities, right? Onyx and everything, but they're just so cool.
Down to earth.
Oh my gosh. They just act totally cool. They act like I'm the celebrity. I'm like, what's going on here? They're like, oh my God, it's Princess. We're so happy to see you. I'm like, what? So it's like that. Even Maxie, the same thing. Big Percy, like he's telling everybody whenever I'm with them, hey, this is Princess. You need to talk to her. You need to connect with her. You need to connect with her. I think that almost made it to the point where I'm a publicist but influencer at the same time. Because I'm not because I'm getting invited to all these red carpets and I'm telling my clients, hey, do you guys want to go with me? Because I got an invite with my name on it. Because it's almost like I'm an influencer at the same time.
Yeah, you are. You're like a hybrid. Like you're
definitely.
a publicist, but you too are part of the scene.
Yeah.
And people are recognizing you.
They're recognizing me. Yep.
And you're on, just like we were talking, like you have a strong social media presence. And there's not just one account, there's like 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Each are active with quite a big following. So I'm sure that's just too played a role in people. At least for me, like whoever's doing my PR, I want to see someone that's doing PR. Like you've proven what you can do for yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
If you see someone with no following, not that they couldn't do anything, but it's like, well, this person over here is everywhere.
Yeah.
I see them, I see who they're following and who they're interacting with. It's just social proof.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people feel that way. They're like, wow, well, how can I do what you're doing? And it gets to that point. Then I'm like, okay, I can be your publicist. It's almost easier to then, because like you said, they see it.
Mhm.
The proof has already been seen. So they're like, okay, I need to be a part of your team. And I call it my team too, because I don't, you know what I mean? We work together. Like my artist, True, he's the one to introduce me to Onyx. And he also does all my marketing material and all my sponsor decks and all that stuff. So it's just like we all just kind of work together and we do things that can help each other.
And I think you hit on something big. I mean, it does take a team, right? Like, especially in a place like here, it's not just one person that's going to do it on their own.
Exactly.
To get to the next levels of things, you need to build
Yeah,
people that.
like I have a husband and he's amazing. And without him, I wouldn't even be able to do any of the stuff we're talking about because I'd be working a full-time job somewhere where this is Hollywood, so I'm almost going to do that. But anyway, I'd be working a full-time job somewhere but he's amazing and he does amazing stuff. And he has a life group at our house, church, Shepherd of the Hills Church. And he's also a marriage minister, so he marries people. And yeah, he's just amazing. He works in titles, so he does works in real estate.
That's awesome.
Title accounting.
Yeah, and how did you guys meet, if you don't mind?
Oh my god! We met like right down the street from here, actually at 7-Eleven, when he was 19, and he's turning 49 in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So we're having our 29th year anniversary, but 24th year wedding anniversary though.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you literally met in this
Yes.
vicinity of where we're at right here.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. And then the basketball games take up a lot of the time too.
Oh yeah, basketball. It's been basketball nonstop, so it seems nonstop.
Yeah, no, I was telling you guys before that 3-on-3 game or 3-on-3 tournaments were big where I was at. The summer ball took up a lot. Summer ball almost took up as much time as the regular season
Oh yeah.
stuff because you have to travel a lot for games and tournaments on the weekends.
Yep.
And you're not just playing one game, you're playing multiple games.
We just did that this past weekend. Waking up and going to the game, a 9:25 game. It's just like, okay. It was tough, but yeah, it's fun because I love basketball. So
Yeah, no, me
and I
too.
started playing when I was 33. See, it's weird to start playing basketball.
You were
when I
playing
was about
basketball.
33.
Really?
And I started to go to this women's pickup game, like in Eagle Rock or something like that, totally out of in my area. I went over there, played pickup games with them, joined a women's league, and got trophies and scored and then rebound and did all these things. And I don't know where it came from. I never touched a basketball ever before that. But
Your life's like a movie or something like that. It's like,
it is funny.
Like these just adventures just open up
They
to you,
just
and then
keep
you
on doing
excel
it.
at whatever it is.
I
Who
don't
knows what's
understand
next?
it. I don't know. There's definitely other stuff is next though, because I don't want to. I don't like. I love everything that's happening, and I can't imagine it stopping. And it's something like you said. It just keeps seeming like doors are just opened. And I was walking in a basketball gym, and a mom. I was walking with my daughter, and a mom was like, "Hey, we're putting a team together. You want to play?" I'm like, "What? I've never played before." I ended up playing and actually playing good. I couldn't believe it.
Had you ever shot a ball or anything leading up to that? Like,
I don't think so, but I know maybe at school, like in junior high school, they make you like shoot around, like, play little sports and, sections. Like I think, but it's just like only for PE and it wasn't anything.
but you weren't
tournament.
playing like with referees.
I've
and,
never
like,
even
yeah.
played a pickup game. Yeah. But yeah. And then I started playing so much that I played at 24-hour fitness against the men. I just went crazy. I think everything I do, I just go crazy.
Which 24-hour fitness did you play at the one in
Glendale.
Glendale?
Yeah,
Okay.
Glendale. And then I played at the North Hollywood one.
Yeah, that's the gym
and
I work
Burbank.
out at down in Burbank.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
When I lived in Vegas for 8 years before I came here, and I was 23 going into 24, and UNLV used to have some pretty good pickup games
Awesome.
out that way. So yeah, I
Yeah.
was trying to hold on to my my glory days.
Yeah.
But no, and just are you a fan of watching any college or NBA stuff now?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
loving everything that's going on with
Yeah.
the WNBA with the women. I love that it's like competition. I love that
Yeah.
the women are doing well. I love that the fact of the modeling aspect is coming out and they're getting sponsorships and money. And, I love the whole concept because people kind of was turned down with the women's basketball. And since COVID, the entry level in basketball, even in school, was low, because they had nobody was in school for a while. And then, people weren't playing basketball, right? So they had a low start, but it looks like it's picking up now. So hopefully it will, we need that boost. I think the WNBA needs that boost.
Oh, they're talking about the WNBA.
The players,
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark is a baller. She can't be stopped. Those shots are amazing. And it's just so good to see women doing these things. It's just like, yay,
Yeah,
Love it.
We're big Iowa Hawkeye fans. Half my family went to Iowa, so we've
Yeah.
been following Caitlin, and then you got Angel Reese. You got
Angel Reese.
that whole draft class this year. Like,
Yeah.
there's more people watching WNBA than ever,
Right.
and there's controversy going on, and this and the
Yeah.
other. People are complaining.
But I think that's part of the PR part, though.
The PR, there you go.
Somebody
yeah.
set that up that way, and nobody knows it but the people who are involved. And guess what? They don't even care because they know it was set up that way to look like, and then in the end, we'll see what is it called? 30 and 30. And it'll be about this. And they'll be saying, yeah, we did. And they'll be telling us the truth about the innocent rivalry that was created to make it look like there's something. That's what they do. They do that,
I think you're exactly right because more people are talking. Like, did you hear what happened in this game with so and so?
And they needed that in the WNBA, right?
Yeah.
So if it's all PR, good PR, that's where that point comes in.
That's
That's
a
where you
very
come
good-
to not so good PR seeming like it's bad, but it's actually good.
That's a great example because seats are filled. They're now taking private planes. They were never taking private planes
That part.
before. They're moving to bigger arenas. Guarantee they're going to sell way more merchandise this year. Salaries are going to go up.
Yep.
And then you had mentioned earlier, the college deals now with NIL.
Oh, yeah.
Some are multimillionaires walking in.
Exactly. And I think they opened it up for high school kids too. So now you can get, especially I work in sponsorships. So I'm going to be really looking at some stuff for my daughter. I'm like, ooh, I can't wait.
Oh, wow. She's really set.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I talked to somebody, I can't remember who exactly, his friend, I believe it was a daughter, was a star. I think it was basketball. You could just tell they're going to get a scholarship. And he was like, from freshman year of high school, was like, we're going for NIL deals.
Yeah.
He had a game plan. He had a business plan, like everything. But you can do that now.
You could do that.
Whereas
now.
before, it was just, hey, we're trying to get a college scholarship.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. My 28-year-old got a partial scholarship to Chaminade University in Hawaii, but that's a private school, and the yearly amount was extremely high. So, but she did get a partial scholarship, and she was a starting power forward and team captain.
Wow.
So that was awesome. She got to live in Hawaii. So she ended up staying a couple more years. So.
You guys go to games over there?
Oh, we went to games, and they came to games here. So then we have to meet her in like Fresno and stuff like that. And it was really nice.
Jeez, so, I love it. You guys are a basketball powerhouse family.
Yeah, I love basketball.
And that's the thing about I don't play anymore, but I can tune in at any time. And the NBA has been better, I feel. It was actually been a pretty competitive playoffs this year with the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
And then too, but I've watched more women's basketball than ever because
Everybody has. See?
Caitlin Clark, obviously.
PR.
Yeah.
Like, what can we do with women basketball? How can we make... So they did what they could do. And it did make it very interesting. And also, guess what? The women are like models now. The shoes and the outfits they're wearing to come to the game or at the draft. It was like, what? Of course, everybody was tuning into the draft, right?
Yep.
Those girls were dressed like supermodels.
And guess what? My parents watch every single Indiana Fever game. Because they're Hawkeye fans and all the
Yeah.
Hawkeye fans are following Caitlin, but they also know the other players on the other teams. So now people are tuning in. So it's almost, I'm sure the girls are exhausted because they went straight from college to playing right away WNBA.
Yeah.
But the ratings have to be through the roof
Oh, yeah.
compared to what they've
Oh, yeah,
been
they
for
are.
them.
Mm-hmm.
I have a buddy, shout out to Mo in Las Vegas. They're big Las Vegas Aces fans.
Okay.
And they've won the championship the past 2 years. And just to see that energy grow too. So I think, it's been something that's been in the works, but now like this year, I think you're right. This is going to be looking back just
Oh yeah.
like a classic example of PR
Oh yeah.
to
Like
see
like
how
the
they,
Larry Bird and Magic thing. They loved each other, but did you see what they showed on TV to make it, a nice rivalry? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, you were here during the whole Lakers of the 80s and all that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Were you into it back then, like watching the games and stuff?
Well, yeah, I love sports in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched a lot of baseball.
Baseball?
Yeah, and I was on the track team at Hollywood High School, so I ran
Okay.
track. But,
What was your event?
oh my God, the 200 and the relay. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Did you ever go to the Forum and watch the Lakers play, or
No, I didn't.
did you ever watch LeBron play out here?
Oh yeah, I've seen
Yeah?
LeBron. Yeah, LeBron's amazing.
Yeah. You think he's gonna stay a Laker?
I don't know if his son goes there. Isn't he trying to hang out until the sun gets in?
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't been following it too close, but I catch a story
Right.
once in a while, and I think wherever his son goes, that's where he'll appear.
Exactly.
I think there's a good.
Yeah. For a year, probably. You just give yourself a good 1 year, I hope.
And I think he's working on Well, I don't think he is doing a documentary of his whole career. And I mean, what a heck of a conclusion that would be.
Oh, yeah, that would be.
I know I got an Ohio guy right here. I know.
Yeah, I'm hoping he goes back to the Cavs.
So if they draft Bronny, if the Cavs draft Bronny, and then he goes back to Cleveland,
Oh,
and then they
yeah.
win a champion. Oh my
That
gosh,
would be, that's like an amazing scripted ending, huh?
that'd be pretty cool. I did see this clip because shoot, LeBron, he's been playing ever since I can remember. I mean, ever since I was a sophomore in high school, that guy's been in the NBA. That's how long he's been there and playing at this level. And they showed this highlight reel of him. And it is one of those things like you don't appreciate it till he's good. You're just used to LeBron being there.
Right.
I think it will. I will feel that one. Like, oh, he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's been interesting to see him come to a market like Los Angeles too, because that's another thing. Athletes that come here, New York, LA, right? You're coming for the big media market,
Right.
you know, and just what you're able to leverage with that, and the amount of. I mean, LeBron's a billionaire.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like I don't know. I mean, could he have done that in other cities? I'm sure he's done really well, but like the level that you can go in a city like this.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And that could be a part of PR as well, making sure that your athlete gets to a good place.
Do you have a desire to ever work with an athlete?
I work with athlete Zach Andrews. He was in the NBA for a few years, I think, but right now he is a stunt man, and he's a stunt for Space Jam, and he does the stunt double for LeBron and different people like that. And he still plays basketball for fun, but yeah.
You have such an interesting career. I just feel like there's so many interesting stories and people that you get to work with.
Yeah.
There's probably never a dull day.
No,
Right?
no. It seems like I wake up and I'm just going. Actually, the days go by so fast because I'm doing
Yeah.
so much in the day. I'm like, oh no, it's already this time. Like, wow.
Yeah. So this has been so awesome to talk, and I'm sure you could tell 10,000 stories about so many things. Is there anything that you want to talk about specifically that we haven't talked about or bring up, or any stories from anything?
No, I mean, I just want to say that if you get what you put into things, and also belief is very, very important. Is to believe in yourself, believe in God, and believe that there is a creator and an energy that's stronger than us. And it doesn't have to be a named thing. It doesn't have to be a certain religion, but there is something. And I just think that belief is the strongest tool that we have. And a lot of people aren't using it. And I think that I just want to say that I think the belief is believing that it can be done. Believing, hey, you know what? In a few months, and people call it manifestation too. Just manifesting it. This is what's going to happen. Because I took all my whole team to Miami one year, and we did a 3-story yacht, and it was my birthday in Big Percy, and I got all the everything was sponsored. the yacht, the vendors paid to be there. They flew there. We had people fly in from LA. I don't know how it happened, but I believed that it was going to happen. And I just told everybody, hey, we're going to take a trip to Miami and we're going to get a yacht and we're going to do this, that, this. I just came off of what I wanted it to be. And we did exactly that.
That's just the message I wanted to hear right now. Because you're right. We've talked a lot about, I mean, self-talk is real. And I too believe in a higher power and manifestation, but it's so interesting and how that little negative voice will try to, hey, no, you can't do that. Or, oh, but what if this happens? Or,
Right.
But you really do have to train your mind.
Yeah. And you have to like believe in the higher power, right? Because that's that power too that's doing that. And so we don't believe you, we believe this. Okay, we believe God. We don't believe the power that's saying that. Because there's good and evil, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
there's forces, energy forces. So one could be saying, oh, you're not good enough for that. And another one's saying, you're always good enough because I love you. So it's like, you know what I mean? And you have to just believe. I'm a believer. So
I'm so glad you said that because you're so right. That totally shifted perspective for me. Because that little voice, you're right, that's coming from the negative forces.
yeah.
And I feel sometimes, even when you are getting closer, it starts to get louder
More- yeah,
because
of course.
it's seeing that this person's, it's like making its every last ditch effort to take you down. almost.
Exactly.
Wow, you're
Exactly.
so right.
That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah.
Yep. So you just don't believe it. Yeah. Like, I don't believe it. You just, no matter what little voice kind of tries to trinkle in the back of your head, it's like, oh, I heard that, but I don't believe it. I believe God. I don't believe the voice or the feeling or it could, or the anxiety or the little butterflies in your stomach or whatever. I don't believe that. I believe something else. So.
Has that always been with you early on?
Oh yeah, my
Yeah.
grandmother instilled that in me in New Orleans. That just the belief of God and how the power works, and it's so powerful and stuff. And yeah, she put that in me, and I just know that it works, and I believe it, and I saw it work for her, and I do know that we're not in control of anything. And once you surrender your own, like self saying, hey, I can do that and I can do that, and believe that there's an extra power that's helping you. Obviously, we didn't create the earth, we didn't create the walls, we didn't create any of this stuff. So that was pre-created for us. So with that being said, is believing in that, believing in the higher power and not believing in yourself. It's like not leaning to your own understanding, but leaning to an understanding that's above our understanding so we can get to that above level, right? Because we're going up, right? So we're not going to just stay with our own understanding because we'll stay here because our understanding is going to it might be a good understanding too, but it's not going to move you up to the next level.
Right. It reminds me of the saying I've heard before, live and let God.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
You kind of just
Really?
Yeah, I go, hey, I'll admit I've had a couple of times in my life where you just get to that point where you're like, I can't handle this one. I need,
Yeah.
please take this over, please.
Yeah. Yeah. And think about it.
And that
Please
surrender.
take this over.
Yeah.
That nailed it because it's almost like taking the weight off of you, right? And it's like, give me the weight, right? So taking these weights off of you will also free you up for learning and things like that because you're not worried about something. Because guess what? You gave that whole thing over to something that is much stronger than you and can handle it.
What do you think holds people back from doing that? Aside from not maybe realizing that they can do that.
I don't know. I mean, that's a really good question. Maybe just even a level of not knowing. A level of not knowing that that's a probability, or also just thinking that you have to do a certain thing, or you're going to have to do this and you're going to have to do that. When what you have to do is believe. That's what you have to do. Then all the other stuff will start falling into place. But if you don't believe it, how would it ever happen? Why would these things be happening for you that you don't believe? It wouldn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
So you don't believe your podcast is gonna be a huge podcast where you're gonna have this huge studio and all this stuff. Well, then why would it ever happen? It wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd have to believe that that's a possibility or it's definitely going to happen for you, and that's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I always get pumped up. And now, I don't know if you've, do you do public speaking?
No.
Motivation.
No.
We'll add that to the, website.
Awesome. Yeah.
Cause you're exactly right. And I think too, we live in a time where there's more opportunity than ever to create what we want. But at the same time, there's more deterrence than ever. Because with the amount of positive, there's also the amount of, again, that other force that we're talking about here that's there to, it's like you got both of them and they're both really, really loud. And you have to drown this one out. And
Yep, exactly. Just like on the old cartoons, they would have, a little angel and a little devil on the shoulder. Obviously, that's a metaphor, but it's also, it's like a factual metaphor because you do have the negative voice and then the voice that's saying, hey, believe, and it's believe in him and all things will be added to you. So then you're believing, and people just don't see the value in that. They think, well, I can do it myself. It's I, but never I, because there's no I in team and it's never I, right? Even with the self-motivation, even with the people with crystals and all, I'm completely into that stuff. I love, but it's still not me though. I'm not the power here. Yeah. Yeah. I have the ability to move on the positive in the things that I want to do. I have that ability because I was given that ability, but it's not me, the power source. So.
And I think pride, right? I think
Oh, yeah.
pride, I know I fall victim to that one.
Oh yeah,
You just think you can do it all.
exactly.
Or it's just, your ego comes into play.
Yeah. And think about it. Hey, you can do it, right? But you didn't do it for yourself. Let's say that. You were part of it, but you also didn't let that evil or that weird voice on the other side tell you to do the other stuff. You went over with the positive side. So it's like you're working as a team, right? So it's not you, it's the power of God living through you, but showing through you in such a powerful way. You know what I mean? That it, people can see it.
Yeah, no, I love it. And especially in a society, I mean, not to go too, this will open up this will have to be part 2. But, in a society too, where, people, and again, whatever you want to believe, higher power, God, whatever you want to call that, like people trying to drown that out, and erase it and to act like it's not there. Like you can do it all and technology can do it all. And that just seems to be a lot of the route where things go. And that's why I meant like there's opportunity, but there's also all these other.
So funny that you say that because like people don't believe a lot of stuff the Bible said, but then the metaphor fruit that they're talking about was called knowledge, right? So then we got the technology, right? And it's saying that, hey, you could just do it with this. So is this like repeating itself or what's happening here? Because now it's like, surely you don't need that because you have this technology now. So it's kind of creepy.
Oh, whoa. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Garden of Eden all over again.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Right. I know things repeat itself, right? So.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, I think some awakening is happening. I think a lot of us are waking up and seeing some of what's going on.
Oh,
and so I think what you're talking about, manifestation, God, the higher calling of all of us.
Right.
I think we're feeling that.
Right.
And, and it's really, you have to follow that gut and follow that intuition.
Yeah.
And I like what you said, like at the beginning of this podcast, just, no, I can do this. It seems like you just know how to figure it out.
Yeah.
Even if I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm going to just, there's a saying in the startup world, building the plane while flying it.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people ask me for certain hairstyles I might not have ever done. I look at it. I tell them to send me pictures. I go there. I open the phone, look at the picture, and I actually do I've never done it before though.
Yeah.
So it's just that you have to believe. That's the whole thing. Is that I believe that I can do it then.
Yeah. I love that. Princess, this has been a This has been a treat, and I'll give you the last word. But before I do, where are all the places that people can go to learn more about you, your work, possibly work with you? Where are all the appropriate places for people to go?
So they can go to on every platform. It's Perceptive by Princess Fashawn. I do have some other ones. I have Visions of Perceptive, and that one kind of goes more into like events and the publicist side. But my other one, The Perceptive by Princess Fashawn, has everything on it. And when I work with my clients, I kind of separate it. But for me, it's working just fine with everything on the one page, which a lot of people say that doesn't work for them, but it's working for me. So
yeah, whatever works for you,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And any other? This will come out about 2 weeks from now. Is there anything this summer going on? I know you're doing 1,000 different things.
Yes, I'm going to be working and helping out with the celebrity basketball game on June 29th. My clients are going to be playing LJ. He is the son of Rome. It's like a 80s, 90s music artist, a singer, a pretty popular A-list singer. So him and True are going to be playing in a celebrity basketball game. I'm going to be doing my own personal celebrity basketball shootout 3 on September 29th. And probably some other little things in between there. I like to do the health and wellness. So like have massage and facials and stuff like that. So I'll be doing some events like that as well.
So follow you and people can stay up to date.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Eric, did you have any final thoughts or questions?
Yeah, I really liked what you were just talking about there at the end with God, because on the other side, I always have, I can take responsibility for my negative thoughts a lot. And then by also probably overly identified with like kind of fixing, like taking responsibility to fix those and having like, you know, the positive and the beliefs and stuff. But it's really cool to have you talk about how that's actually from God, meaning that was there before I was here and that's going to be there after I'm here. And just knowing that like, it's not really all my entire responsibility. It's like I can, you know, be like an antenna, like you're saying, to take it. But that force has always been here. So that was like really cool. I really put things in a little bit of perspective for me too. So like it was kind of serendipitous that you were talking about that. So thank you for that.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a big believer too. Like, or someone said to me, you know, God talks through all of us to each other too, and sometimes you just hear the right message at the right time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I can't tell you how many times like, or I've been just random places, and then someone will just say something.
Right, and you're
oh my
like,
gosh.
wow. Like, what?
It's like they say the exact thing that whatever you've been trying to figure out.
Right, everything you need to hear. Like, where did that come from? How is this possible? Yeah.
But you have to be open to it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's another thing. Like these messages are being told all the time.
Yeah.
But you have to be open to receiving.
Exactly.
That's something I had to learn too. You have to be, it's good to give and things like that, but you also have to be open to receive and listen.
Yeah, because you can be blocking things, blessings and everything by like, oh no, that's not going to happen for me. Or, oh no, I don't know what that person's talking about. I'm going to ignore that. But you're blocking things that would be happening no matter if you were here or not, basically, like you said. There's things there's just things that it's going to roll through, right? So we have to believe in ourselves for our own stuff to happen, but we also have to believe that there's a higher power other than ourselves doing it. You know, that's what I mean when people are doing the self-empowerment. I love it because I've had some self-empowerment events, but it's a little different because it's showing us that God is the power, but we're believing in ourselves because guess what he did? He gave us a brain that works very intricately, right? And it's very smart, right? So we have the capability of thinking and using our own brain on purpose. And I think that it's for a purpose. Yeah.
Wow. Talk about dropping gems at the into the
finish line. Yeah.
Yeah, this is and I got one more question for you before the last word. I'm sorry. I didn't really get to talk to you. What's it take to throw a good event? And I know with the pandemic had to have been challenging for that whole space. But if you could just give us maybe some broad strokes on what, you know, nowadays in 2024.
So you mentioned the pandemic. And so what I did have a couple events. I had a Puffs and Giggles event, which was like a cannabis event on a golf course. And the thing is that cannabis and golf was deemed essential, right? So I couldn't have an event without those things, right? So I had that on a golf course during the pandemic, and rest in peace, tiny listener Debo. He was supposed to be there, but he had passed away right before the event. So we still had this place set up for him and stuff. But yeah, at that, and then what was the other part of the
Just like
question?
in 2020, like now events nowadays, what does it take really to run a good event?
It's sponsorships and vendors and actual people that follow your events and want to be a part of it. That's what takes, because once you get those sponsorships and those brands to be a part of it, you got your gift bag inserts, you got all the gift bags, you got everything you need to accommodate your celebrity attendees.
Okay, that makes sense. And then really then the community, like having that community of people that are going to show up.
Exactly. The community of people. Like right now, if I post something, there's people that I know for sure they're coming. Every time I do something, they show up. It's like kind of like clockwork. They're even contact me like, what do you have going on next? We're going to come. Like, yeah. So.
And that seems to be the name of the game too. Like everyone's oh, how many followers, this and that. But it's like, what's your community?
Exactly.
Like, I'd rather have a few hundred people that are going to show up to my thing
Exactly.
than 10,000 people that are just there
And they never come.
Yeah.
I have some artists that I've worked with before and they have millions of followers and you're like, oh, wow. And then not one person will attend their show. After we set up a huge show with great things going on, gift bags, everything, not one person comes from them though. So you're like, wow, what difference does it make that you have all these followers in?
It's a great point. I think that's a great point, especially now, because everyone gets so caught up in the numbers and
yeah, because you can really get paid from shows, right? Everybody knows that artists get paid from shows. So if you don't have anyone coming to the show and they're not buying a ticket, then then maybe they're only concerned with the look of it, to have all the followers and stuff, but not really. Sometimes people get wrapped up in that, the social media part.
Yeah. Definitely. And any future things, projects that you're manifesting right now that you want to throw out there?
Much more wellness events. I want to do some more weddings with my husband because he married a couple and then I did the hair for the bride. So that was cool. So if we could do that,
it's a whole other business right there.
Another business.
Well, Princess, thank you so much for coming on. This was an awesome conversation. Thank you for sharing about all your experiences. And I really love the stuff about wisdom and God and manifesting. And it really was some great messages. I know I got a lot out of tonight, and I know a lot of other people are going to too. So thank you.
Awesome. I did too, because it's like God speaking through people. So I was talking to myself at the same time. So it's amazing.
Awesome. And I always give the guest the last word. It can be absolutely anything you want.
Wow. Believe.
There it is. Princess, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Sam Dever, the Sam Dever Podcast here, and I just want to thank you for checking out this episode. To watch and listen to future episodes, be sure to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@thesamdeverpodcast. Thank you so much. See you soon.